Hey everyone, welcome back to Chai and Book Girl. My name is Amanda and it is time for a weekly check-in for Camp Summerween. So this past week was our second week of camp and I'm just going to really quickly go through the books that I read this past week, and we are going to move my little campfire on my map here. Let me move this up a little bit so you can see. There we go. Just as a reminder, you also have a book tracker. The downloads for this are in the reading challenge that is on Storygraph, so you can find the link there. The link is also in the YouTube video that I first posted, Welcome to Camp. So if you want to go there and find the links, you can. There is also merit badges that you can get for completing challenges and prompts. For completing prompts on the reading challenge. There are 6 different ones that you can get. You can get this sheet that I created. You can download this from the supply tent, as well as the badges when you earn them. That's what they look like. I do have a printable sticker sheet if you want to do stickers and stick them on your certificate, or you can just print them out and stick them on using tape or whatever you want to do. So just a reminder that those are available. If you would rather track your books using the map like I'm doing, that download is also available in the supply tent. Okay, so let's get started with this. So the first book that I read, I actually listened to it on audio, and that is Dead of Summer by A.J. Merlin. This is actually my beautiful special edition copy. Isn't it wonderful? I love it. But yes, I did listen to it on audio. This is a reread for me, or a re-listen for me. I actually read Dead of Summer a couple of years ago. A.J. Merlin is one of my favorite authors. I absolutely adore her. She does horror erotica, horror romance, I guess, if you want to call it that. And she is the queen. It's not like splatterpunk. It's not like anything like that. It's just like a slasher book, but it's got romance in it. And so obviously our male main character is morally gray on the morally black side. And then we have our female main character who is a camp counselor, and it is their kind of story how they are getting together in this relationship. But I mean, obviously he's a sociopath, and so she has to kind of figure out how to deal with that, how to understand that, and love that. And A.J. Merlin, like I said, is the queen of making us fall in love with morally gray, morally black characters. And I enjoy everything about her books. Dead of Summer was actually the first book that I read by A.J. Merlin. And after I read it, I was so enraptured that I went and I read all of the rest of her books. And I love them all. Obviously, I have my favorites. Dead of Summer will always be one of my favorites because it was the first one that I ever read. So I really enjoyed that one. Listening to it as opposed to reading it, I feel like it took me longer. Whereas when I'm reading something, I can kind of, I think I read a little bit faster than just listening to it. But it was nice being able to have an audiobook to listen to during, Camp Summerween, have something that I could, have those vibes, have those camper vibes. So we are currently at the flagpole, and we are going to move to the archery range. Where are you, archery range? Oh, right up here in the corner. Archery range. Okay, that'll be fun. I don't know how to shoot a bow and arrow, but whatever. Okay, the next kind of set of books that I read are the I'm Not Scared trilogy by J. Pratt. This is, these books aren't super long. I would almost call them novellas. But J. Pratt writes, she's the one that wrote the Masked Men series. I believe there's 12 books in that series. And this kind of follows along those same lines. So I'm Not Scared is about our female main character, and she ends up in I guess I would call it like a Halloween carnival type setting, but it's like Halloween there all year round. So this is set kind of during, the summer, but this carnival, this attraction site is an all year round Halloween. And so they have, an asylum and a graveyard and, a carousel, but it's all like very spooky and very haunted. And during the daytime, it's, families with their kids can come and they can enjoy kind of this haunted, spooky, pumpkins and hay rides and those type of things. But after hours, when night falls, the whole park closes and only, I guess, chosen adults are allowed to play at this attraction. Our female main character ends up at this attraction after hours, and she meets some of the very eclectic, very interesting men that kind of run and are participating in this attraction, and this trilogy of books is kind of their story. Read the trilogy for the set of people in Don't Be Scared, and then I also read the first book of kind of this side character. So that's 4 novellas, and I'm trying to figure out if I should count them as 4 books or if I should just count them as 1 book because they're so short. But because I've got 29 places on my map that I need to travel to, I think I'm going to count them separately. So for Don't Be Scared, number 1, we're going to go from the archery range to the rifle range. I will do much better there than at the archery range. Then Don't Be Scared, volume 2, we're going to go from the rifle range to, arts and crafts. I'm going to do so good there. I love arts and crafts. I'm going to stay there for a while. But for Don't Be Scared, volume 3, we'll go from arts and crafts to the nature center. That sounds fun. And then for Enter If You Dare, which is the first book of this next trilogy that she is writing about this side character. So Enter If You Dare, volume 1, we are going to go from the nature center, to the boathouse. Oh boy. I hope I survive the boathouse. Things always happen at the boathouse, you know this. Okay, so for the next book that I read Slasher Summer by E.L. Chen. I really enjoyed this book. This is another one of those kind of summer camp, slasher in the woods, killer in the woods type book. So we have a group of college students, and they are coming together for a reunion of sorts. For what they used to be in high school, they used to be called the Jump Scare Club, and they loved horror movies. They loved all things horror in high school. That's what kind of drew them together. And so they, now they've graduated high school, they're in college, but they want to kind of have a reunion for their Jump Scare Club. And so they are going to go back to their hometown, which happens to be where this kind of 90s horror slasher film was actually filmed, in their hometown. And they are going to go to this cabin in the woods where this slasher film was actually done and filmed, and it's kind of a B&B now, and it's an attraction for people who want to go and experience this summer slasher horror film that was filmed there. It's all decorated, everything is all recreated just as it was in the movie. And so you can, rent this cabin in the woods, and it's just as if you are in this movie that was filmed there, which is kind of cool. And so anyway, they are getting together as the Jump Scare Club at this cabin in the woods. And as they were in high school, they kind of leaned into their trope a little bit. And so we have the cheerleader, the jock, the nerd, the goth girl, and the final girl. We have the stoner, I forgot the stoner, and the final girl. And so really in high school, they really kind of leaned into those roles because they just loved horror so much. And so they would really kind of lean into it. The goth girl, she was extra gothy, and the cheerleader was extra preppy because she was the cheerleader. And so they really kind of leaned into these roles. Well, now that they're having this reunion, they find themselves kind of reverting back into these roles, that they have always had with each other. And it's interesting because, not only is this, a kind of a campy slasher, but it's a very interesting commentary on, as we grow and as we mature, we find ourselves trying to break out of, certain roles that may be placed upon us, or maybe that we have grown up with, or, maybe that we have always had. But as we become our own people and understand more about ourselves, we kind of try and break out of those roles and become, who we think we are, who we were meant to be. And so it's a very interesting commentary on how, some of these kids, these high schoolers that are now college age, they're maturing and they're getting older, and so they're really trying to break out of these cheerleader or jock, roles that have been placed upon them and roles that they're expected to play, but they want to break free of them and they want to kind of, break out of these constraints that they've been in, but they find it so hard to do when they're together. Because when they're together, they just go right back into these roles, and they find themselves getting angry and frustrated because they just can't seem to break out of it. And of course we have, a killer. He's in the woods. He's really leaning into this summer slasher movie. He's got the whole outfit, the costume, the acts, like he's really gone all into it. And as they're kind of being picked off, as they were in the order of the movie, the rest of them are kind of like, okay, like something's going on. He got this one first, and it's just like it is in the movie. Well, now he's coming after me next, so I can either, try and fight against this, or we can try and find the killer and kill him first, or what do we do? There's no phone service. They don't have a sat phone. The car that they came in has been disabled. So it's these mix of circumstances that have led them to where they are. And it all comes together in this climactic ending. I mean, we've got axes and machetes and blood and just people dying and blood flying everywhere. It was fantastic. And it really leans into that horror genre, that summer slasher genre, but it's a very interesting kind of emotional take on the roles that we play and the roles that are maybe set for us by expectations. And do we need to be in those roles, or can we break free of them? I found the whole thing absolutely entertaining. I loved it. So that is Summer Slasher by E.L. Chin. And we are going to go from the boathouse. Gosh, thank goodness we survived that. And we're headed to the swim dock. Yay! I love the swim dock. I love to swim. Those were my books for this past week that I read for my Camp Summerween reading wrap-up, week check-in number 2. I will see you again for week check-in number 3. And until then, happy reading. I hope you guys are enjoying Camp Summerween. Bye!